Hello sports fans, James Williams here for Sports Minded. We got another episode for you guys. No, it's been a while, but we're glad to be back. And a great day for sports once again. You had the Heat take a Game 4 loss to the Pacers after that blowout. The Pacers suffered at home to the Miami Heat. So nice to see them bounce back. You also will have some information in this video regarding who was the winner of Game 7 between the Sharks and the Kings. We'll talk about that briefly. You also have some info on what happened yesterday with the Spurs and the Grizzlies and who will come out of the West in that series. We'll also talk a little bit of NFL, some kind of quick hit notes to talk about with that. But let's just jump right into it. With some Miami Heat talk. First of all, we'll start it off with LeBron James getting fouled out with about 56 seconds left in the game. LeBron James fouls out of the game. Not something that happens every day for him. Maybe, I don't know. I know they talked about it before. The last time he fouled out in a playoff game was, I don't know, maybe when he was with the Cavaliers? Maybe? I don't know. I'm not going to pretend like I do know. Anyways, it doesn't happen every day that LeBron James fouls out of games. Anyways, as I mentioned before, the Pacers did get the win in Game 4, defeating the Heat 99-92 at home, and the game will go with Game 5 to Miami. Excuse me on that. Solid performance from Roy Hibbert, who scored 23 points and had 12 rebounds. Wasn't the only Pacer with 12 rebounds. David West also had 12 rebounds. Both of them combined, their 24 rebounds added to the total of 49 rebounds. The Pacers out-rebounded the Heat 49-30, so pretty solid performance on the glass, I guess you can say, or whatever. Offensive, defensively, just the rebounding all together, pretty solid for the Pacers in this game. And it really helped out. I was seeing some of the highlights. Didn't get to watch the full game, but I did see the highlights. I saw the end, but for the highlights, it looked like Chris Bosh went down at one point, injuring his ankle, I believe, but he was able to return, so not that big of a deal. But, you know, something we may want to watch out for. But with this series being tied at 2-2, we have a series, folks. Another game that did take place today happened in the world of NHL when you had the Los Angeles Kings defeating the San Antonio Sharks. Excuse me, the San Jose Sharks. I'll talk about San Antonio later on. So the San Jose Sharks lost in Game 7 to the Los Angeles Kings 2-1 in Game 7. It's funny because, well, to us here at Sports Mind anyways, because during the Sports Minded podcast episode 1 or 2, I believe, you guys want to go back and listen to that, it should be on the website. Travis West said that one of the worst playoff teams in NHL history were the Sharks, and it sounds like they may have been listening because they tried to rally back. I don't know if at that time they were down 2-1, but I mean he was going off of past history as well. But the Sharks almost could have proven Mr. West wrong, but the Kings come through, and as the defending champion, will make it back into the conference finals for the first time for any team since 2009 when the Detroit Red Wings did it, if I'm not mistaken, in which the defending champion comes back the following year and at least reaches the finals, the conference finals, I believe. Anyways, so yeah, just wanted to throw that in there for you guys. Let me get some quick stats that I did have from that game. Rather the more important ones, especially if you're a LA Kings fan. You have to really love the play of the goalie, Jonathan Quick, who really did make a name for himself last year in the playoffs. He had 25 saves in this game. You also had Justin Williams scored both goals for the Kings. Remember that the score was 2-1, so both of those goals did come from Justin Williams. I mean, a pretty solid performance overall. A very good series, very back and forth play. So we'll see what the defending champions can do going forward. I believe they may be playing the Blackhawks. Don't quote me on that. I haven't looked much into who they will be playing next, but just stay tuned and listen to the podcast. We'll be recording it on Friday. Probably have it up later on Friday. Friday afternoon is when we'll have it recorded. So stay tuned for that, and we'll keep you guys updated on who's playing, who, when, and where, and whatnot. And we'll have some talk and conversation about that when Travis and Tim join me on the podcast. Going back to the NBA, we have the Spurs winning yesterday in the series. Clincher, I guess you can say. I mean, for the Spurs, anyways. The Spurs defeated the Grizzlies in 4 straight games, sweeping them. Pretty disappointing performance, I guess, from the Grizzlies. First time the Grizzlies had made it that far into the playoffs. I mean, I guess we could have expected a better showing from them, especially with Defensive Player of the Year and Marcus Gasol and Zach Randolph. Zach Randolph didn't score much at all. I think maybe I don't even know if he had more than 10 points in the last 2 games combined. So pretty sad, if you ask me. But Tony Parker, 34 points if I'm not mistaken off the top of my head he had in game 4. Really sealed the deal and took the trio of Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, and the rest of the Spurs roster into the championship series. They're still waiting on the winner of the Heat and the Pacers. As I mentioned earlier, that series is tied 2-2, so who knows who the Spurs can play. The only advantage they have now is that they're resting, and for an older team, that is the number one thing they will need. But at the same time, if they don't do it right, it could come back and bite them in the you-know-where. Because, I mean, if you look at what happened to the Heat, before in that first game with the Bulls, they had a nice little break, but it cost them in a way. I mean, they were caught slipping, and they gave that first game away. So that is the last thing the Spurs can do, especially if they're playing the Heat in the finals. If they were to play the Heat in the finals, you cannot give a game away. So that first game is very important. But knowing the coach for the Spurs, Greg Popovich, and the veterans he has, I'm sure that won't be a problem. Interesting stat that I posted on the Facebook page yesterday with not the first trio, but this is the 3rd franchise in the NBA to have a trio of players make it together in 4 NBA Finals series or playoffs or whatever. With that being Manu, Tim, Duncan, and Tony Parker. The other 2 franchises to do so were, of course, the Celtics and the Lakers, who are both tied for not tied, but are 1 and 2 for the for the most titles overall. And another interesting note, and it should really be paid more attention to, especially, for example, if they were to play the Heat. The Spurs have, I don't know, I guess in history, anyways, I know at least for the last 4 playoff finals appearances they have made, they won all 4 of them. So they're going in with an undefeated record. They're either going to be playing a nice, young, big, talented team with the Indiana Pacers, or they're going to be playing a powerhouse favorite in the Miami Heat. So I don't know. It should be a good series either way. I'm sure a lot of people are tired of seeing the Spurs. A lot of people are probably tired of seeing the Heat. But who knows? I mean, maybe it'll make out to be a good series. Then again, maybe the Heat will just sweep the Spurs or whatever. I would love to see Indiana get in the mix with that. Let me know what you guys think, though. Would you guys want to see the Pacers and the Spurs? I don't know. I would, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't want to see the Heat again. I'm tired of that. Anyways, enough about me. Let's see what else we have going on. In the NFL, you have Arian Foster. He's spraying something. Let me look here what I have. I'm using the sports-minded Twitter feed for my notes. That's at sports_minded. Yeah, we had Arian Foster strain his calf, had to be taken off on a cart. It's said to be okay. He'll be ready for the start of the season and whatnot. So I guess you can just keep an eye on it for now. Going back into the NBA, you had the Hawks, named Spurs assistant coach Mike Bundenhouse. I'm not even going to pretend to say his name, but there's an assistant coach on the Spurs that was hired to become the new head coach of the Atlanta Hawks. Just jumping back into the NFL real quick, you had the Raiders rookie cornerback DJ Hayden hospitalized with an abdominal injury. I believe he's had some sort of minor surgery. A lot of people started freaking out because he had that, was it heart surgery? I know he had some sort of major surgery that had some concerns for him, that caused some concerns for him going into the draft, and the Raiders took a chance on him as it was. But this is not related, totally separate, not injury, but circumstance, I guess you can say. So just make it clear right now, they are not related. Just so happens to be the same guy. Some other interesting notes from the Chargers camp as well in San Diego. A lot of people are saying that Monte Te'o is really making a name for himself, impressing the roster, impressing the veterans on that team, and they're saying he's avoid rookie hazing, which I guess is a big deal in a way. But they're saying he's starting to earn a lot of the respect, and who knows? Maybe we really are. A lot of people did have expectations high for him, especially with what he was doing coming out of college on the field. But then it was kind of like when all that incident took place and whatnot, everyone was just so focused about that, and then even in the draft he fell. So expectations weren't that high for him. But the way everyone's talking about him now, I'm sure expectations will be running all over the place again. So yeah, and also with the Chargers, you had Eric Weddle, who's the Chargers safety. He was a guest on a radio show, I believe in San Diego. No, on the NFL Sirius satellite radio show, I guess. I'm not sure if that's the exact radio station. But anyways, he mentioned the goal for the Chargers is to win the Super Bowl, and he believes that Philip Rivers is the quarterback that can lead them there. Philip Rivers has been their starting quarterback for at least 5 years, maybe more. I'm just going off the top of my head with that one. But there's another question for you guys. Is Philip Rivers a potential Super Bowl quarterback, winning quarterback? Can he lead the Chargers to the Super Bowl? Do they have enough pieces around him to make it to the Super Bowl? Are they missing something? Just some questions out there. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment as well. Another thing before I go, yesterday you had the Blackhawks defeat the Red Wings 4-3 in Game 6. That series is tied and will go a Game 7. I think that was yesterday. I guess it was yesterday. I could have sworn the series is over. Anyways, the main thing I wanted to get to was the Dodgers now lead the Freeway Series 2-0. Dodgers won the first game 8-7 in a close one. I believe they even rallied back from a 6-1 deficit yesterday. That was May 27th. Today is May 28th. And today on May 28th, you had the Dodgers come back and shut out the Angels. I don't have it posted on here. 2-0. Let me check. 2-0, I believe. Uh, do 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 3-0. Excuse me. So 3-0. I guess after all the talk with Mattingly, Don Mattingly potentially getting fired and whatnot, the Dodgers are really starting to pick up their game and get things going. I guess you can say, um, you know, especially with how, especially with the roster that the Angels and the Dodgers both have. A lot of people were expecting more from those two teams, but I mean, it's kind of like the Miami Heat with their first season. So, can't think of any other news at this time that I want to run by you guys. But I'll just recap real quick what we did mention. The Pacers defeating the Heat today in Game 4 to tie the series at 2-2. You had the Spurs winning yesterday to represent the Western Conference in the finals. You had the Kings win a Game 7 over the Sharks to win that series 4-2. Jonathan Quick with 25 saves, 2 goals scored for the Kings by Justin Williams. Just want to remind you guys once again that we will have the podcast this Friday. We answered a few questions on the last episode 3, I believe. Send in your questions. You can leave them on the Facebook page at www.facebook.com/sportsmindedofficial. Send me your questions and I'll try and get them on the podcast, and I'll have Tim, Travis, and myself answer them, and maybe if Luis is there, Luis Solis, we'll have him try and answer questions as best as he can. So with that being said, check out the podcast, get catched up with what is going on and what we're trying to do with that, and make sure you listen to the next one, which will be up on Friday. See you later, sports fans. Have a great week.